So, we're here to look about availability and why is it more important than ever before. So Nelson, certainly from our side, we're seeing how availability has increased across the whole of our customer range, particularly higher up within the organisation. And interested in your views as to why you think that is.
Well, there's a whole set of trends and pressures on organizations that are leading to an increased demand for availability. And I think some of the recent problems some high-profile organizations have had with availability, like O2 and like some of the banks, shows us just the change in people's perceptions and willingness to not have available systems and processes.
Yeah.
So I think there's a whole set of things.
So certainly we're seeing that within our customer base, and that's really the prime reason why we asked you to do the survey, to look at our customers and bring this to the attention of CIOs across a multiple of different organisations and in geographies. So how did you go about that?
So we did two things. We did a survey as well as some interviews. We started with a survey of 450 CIOs across the UK, France, and Scandinavia, followed up by a set of detailed interviews where we explored some of the issues and interesting findings that came up in the survey.
So what I'm seeing from this and hearing before, and certainly your report seems to put it out, is people, processes and infrastructure really keeping everything together from a data point of view is what's driving the availability requirements of companies.
Yeah, the environment of companies and the expectations of employees, partners, and customers have shifted, and there just is no longer organizations simply can't have systems that aren't available.
Is that because people have become more used to having things there where they want them now? Have we as consumers become more promiscuous and we just want what we want now?
Yeah, I think from the consumer point of view, that's the case. Because consumers both have a lot more choice. So in terms of being able to change very quickly to another supplier for many things, they can do that easily on the web or with other kinds of systems. So there's a changing expectation, and also their experience with organizations that are able to provide always-on service. They no longer understand why everyone can't do this.
And that always-on service now isn't just always on within one time zone. It's now multiple time zones, global basis, so it's got like always on wherever,
Yeah,
I guess.
That's exactly right. And as businesses continue to globalize their activities, this becomes, there is no time when the system can be down. Somewhere, someone's working all the time. And these systems need to be available, and customers want to buy things at all 24 hours a day. These systems have to be available.
So we're seeing that going across multiple sectors as well, because obviously finance is a 24-hour business, but now we're seeing that more in other areas, in retail, manufacturing.
Yeah, I think financial services has been a leader in this area. They've been under this sort of pressure for a long time to have their systems be available all the time, but that tendency, that pressure has spread across all kinds of organizations. So it's no longer the ones that you expect. It's every organization that faces this.
So I guess that means availability is becoming more of a requirement, let alone an add-on. It has to be there all the while.
Yeah, I think availability is no longer. It's no longer something that's nice to have. It's something that you have to have. And for the organizations that are building, extra value kinds of services on top of their systems and processes, to offer them to customers, say we are creating competitive advantage by making this available to you, and then it not being available is actually worse than not having them in the first place.
Okay, so availability becomes more of a weapon that you can use to actually improve your availability to your customers and consumers.
Yeah, and you can add that extra value in very interesting ways, but you have to have a system that's always on, always available.
So that has to be driven by IT. IT is usually underneath the CIO, so I guess that's why we went to the CIOs and said, do you realise what availability means to your business as a whole?
Yeah, and we wanted to see what their experience was in terms of who was driving availability, where availability was gaining support in the organization, where the pressure for availability was coming from. And those are the sorts of questions that we ask. And we found very much that this is a concern of CIOs, but increasingly a concern of the entire top management team, as different elements, different aspects of the organization become more and more dependent on availability. It's everyone's concern.
So would you say a CIO has to look at availability not just in terms of the IT, but also the business as a whole as well?
Absolutely, because availability isn't just simply technical. It's got to do with people. It's got to do with a whole set of activities to make sure that these systems are available, run correctly, or provide these opportunities for competitive advantage.
I think, as you say, when they go wrong, they can go wrong pretty spectacularly, and these days, because of the way of mass communications, those lack of availabilities really do get publicised throughout.
Absolutely, and as you said before, the expectation is that these things will be available and will work. So when that doesn't happen, this is creates a huge degree of unhappiness both amongst customers, partners, and employees.
Yeah, I think, funny enough, I can relate to that, because I know when I'm doing things like booking flights, right, I go to a usual airline, but if they're not available, I just simply drop down to the next one.
Absolutely.
And funnily enough, then that one becomes my first choice. So even I can understand how lack of availability can cost me as a business.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, that's absolutely what we're seeing in people's expectation, their experiences of organizations like Google, for example, which always work. They don't understand why everyone can't be like them.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Nelson Phillips. I'm professor at Imperial College London, and I've been commissioned by SunGard to conduct a research project looking into the available enterprise. By available enterprise, we mean an organization whose systems, people, and processes are aligned to ensure 24/7 availability. We found a number of very interesting results. We performed both a survey on 450 CIOs across France, UK, and Scandinavia, as well as a set of in-depth interviews.